Today we're digging into the October Tech Bulletin, really focusing hard on AI, new tech, and, well, the big stories shaping the month. We've processed a whole stack of sources aiming to pull out just the essential insights you need. So our mission here is to cut through that conflicting noise. We've got sources describing this really aggressive push of AI into everyday life, almost evangelical, but then right alongside that, deep skepticism about whether it's financially sound, plus some serious ethical and environmental red flags.
And that tension is exactly why this deep dive is, I think, so important for you. You're seeing this euphoria, brand new features, crazy high market valuations, butting right up against these, frankly, existential warnings about resources running out and ethical lines being crossed. You really have to hold both ideas at once.
Okay, right. So let's unpack that euphoria part first, the integration push. The big news dropped at the OpenAI Dev Day, October 6th, 2025. Sam Altman announced this apps SDK thing.
Yeah, and that's way more than just another feature update. It basically positions ChatGPT to be like the main doorway between you and, well, almost everything online.
It changes the game for, what, 800 million weekly users?
Fundamentally, yes. The apps SDK lets ChatGPT interact directly with outside apps. We're talking booking flights, using creative tools like Canva, even searching Zillow for houses.
So it's not just spitting out text anymore, it's doing things.
Exactly. Before, you had APIs, which let AI get information. Now, the SDK lets it perform actions inside those apps. You don't even have to leave ChatGPT. And you mentioned Zillow, Spotify, those initial partners, their stock prices just, boom, took off. The market gets it.
Although, worth noting, if you're listening in Europe, this isn't quite there yet for you.
True, rollout takes time. But the implications are huge, especially for retail.
That's what caught my eye, the fear among retailers. This idea that you don't need to go to their website anymore. What happens then?
Well, they risk becoming just the inventory shelf. Think about it. ChatGPT becomes your personal shopper, finds you those running shoes under $100, checks the specs, and then buys them for you right there in the chat.
So the big sports store, whoever, they're just bypassed.
They're potentially relegated to being just a business provider, and crucially, they might even have to pay OpenAI a commission for making the sale happen on its platform.
It sounds a bit like the Uber model, but for selling stuff.
Yeah.
The platform owns the customer interaction.
And the data. That's the real gold here. All that info about what you buy, what you look at, your preferences that used to belong to the retailer, now, it's fuel for the AI's own development, making it smarter, more powerful, and locking users in even more.
Okay, so this frenzy of integration is happening, but like you said, there's this tension, which leads us straight into the financial reality check. Despite the huge valuations, the data gold rush, is the foundation actually solid? We saw this analysis pointing to 3 different bubbles all inflating at once.
Right. This is where we need to pour a little cold water. You've got the speculative bubble, the infrastructure bubble, and the media or unrealistic promises bubble all happening simultaneously. And the skepticism for all 3, it really crystallizes around this one. Frankly, shocking stat from an MIT study.
Okay, hit us with it, the aha moment.
Get this. The MIT researchers found that 95% of generative AI projects are failing. Failing to create measurable value, failing to show any real return on investment, despite billions being poured in.
Hold on, 95%. Failing ROI. So this entire AI boom is basically running on a 5% success rate. That doesn't sound stable.
It certainly raises questions, doesn't it? So how do these bubbles keep going with that number hanging over them?
Well, the speculative bubble is the one we kind of recognize.
Mm-hmm.
Stock prices soaring way beyond actual value. Think NVIDIA trading at, 50 times earnings? Even Sam Altman has admitted the hype might be a bit much.
Okay, standard bubble territory. Then the infrastructure bubble. That's like building roads to nowhere, hoping a city pops up.
That's a great analogy. It's the absolutely colossal investment in data centers, cooling systems, those GPUs everyone wants. Some estimates put the global spend race at potentially $7 trillion.
Wow.
Yeah. And there are historical parallels, The 19th century railway boom saw investors lay down way too much track that wasn't needed. Or remember the dot-com era? Massive fiber optic rollouts in the 90s, miles of it sat unused for years.
Right, build it and hope they come, or hope that tech catches up. And the third one, the media bubble. That's the hype machine. That's the hype, the exaggerated promises masking what the tech can't actually do yet. It's where you get the hallucinations. The classic example, maybe not so funny, was those U.S. lawyers.
Oh, right, the ones who used AI for legal briefs.
Exactly. Used AI to prep court documents, and it turned out that AI just made stuff up, invented laws, cited legal cases that didn't exist. In one instance, 21 out of 23 references were pure fiction. That's the media bubble bursting promises, hitting the wall of reality.
Okay, but here's a paradox for me. If 95% of the software projects the things supposed to deliver the value are failing, why are the hardware guys like NVIDIA doing so well? Shouldn't the infrastructure bubble be the shaky one?
But see, the race to find that next 5% success story is just relentless. Even if this batch of AI projects doesn't pay off, companies are already ordering the hardware they need to try the next batch.
So the demand for the shovel stays high, even if no one's striking gold consistently.
Precisely. You need the GPUs, the data centers, just to keep rolling the dice. You have to build the railway track before the train can even potentially fail to deliver.
That race for infrastructure, though.
Yeah.
It leads us perfectly into our last and maybe most critical segment, the ethical boundaries and this looming threat of resource scarcity. If AI is so advanced, why is it so incredibly resource hungry?
Yeah, we have to shift gears from just talking financial value to talking planetary cost. And actually, even before the environment, there are immediate ethical lines being drawn. We saw a really significant one recently involving Anthropic, the company behind the Claude AI.
They clash with the U.S. government, right, over surveillance.
That's right. Anthropic has really strict policies against using its AI for internal surveillance on citizens. And they flat out refused requests from government subcontractors working for the FBI, the Secret Service, who wanted to use Claude for exactly that, domestic surveillance.
Wow. That's a major moment, isn't it? A tech company basically saying no to incredibly powerful government agencies, citing their own ethics.
It signals a potential shift in power, absolutely. Yeah. The tech company acting as a kind of moral gatekeeper, not just a supplier. It shows the kind of influence these AI labs now have.
But you mentioned the bigger picture, the environmental cost.
Yes, and this might be the most fundamental challenge. We heard from Frederick Bordage, a specialist in this area. He warns that the digital world's carbon footprint, currently around 4% of global greenhouse gases, could realistically triple by 2050.
And generative AI is like pouring gasoline on that fire.
Significantly. Just in the usage phase, these models consume 5 to 10 times more electricity than standard servers doing regular tasks. But the problem runs even deeper than energy. It's minerals. Raw materials.
The stuff needed to build the servers, the phones, the whole network.
Exactly. The extraction of metals for all these terminals and servers is just surging. But the reserves, the easily accessible ones, they're running out. Bordage calls it a mortal danger to the network.
So we're essentially building society's digital nervous system on materials that are finite and depleting fast. That's a ticking clock.
It really is. He calls it the mineralogical barrier. Some estimates are frightening, maybe only 10 to 15 years of easily exploitable reserves left for about 15 critical metals.
You can already see the scarcity effect, right? Copper prices.
Skyrocketing. 10,000 euros a ton. It fuels mass cable theft, which disrupts things, and it adds to geopolitical tension over rare earth minerals, which, connects back to global conflicts.
And Bordage's prediction, if this system fails because we run out of materials, it was pretty stark.
He described it as bordering on a Mad Max scenario. Think about it. Banking, transport, supply chains, they all run on this digital network. If that network falters or collapses because we can't build or maintain it, society grinds to a halt.
So what's the alternative? We can't just stop.
His argument is we need a radical shift, a systemic change towards what he calls slow tech.
Slow tech, meaning designing things to last.
Exactly. Prioritizing durability, making things repairable, easy to recondition, designing computers meant to last decades, not just a couple of years before they're obsolete.
And tackling software, too, like stopping operating systems from demanding constant hardware upgrades they don't really need.
Yes, optimizing software is key. And also embracing simpler, less resource-intensive solutions where they work perfectly well, using SMS for a train ticket instead of needing the latest, heaviest app. It's about consciously denumerizing parts of our lives to build resilience.
Wow. Okay, so this deep dive has taken us on quite the journey from, the initial excitement of AI weaving itself into shopping.
Right, through the anxiety of those 3 financial bubbles all floating around.
And landing on these really fundamental questions about corporate ethics and whether the planet can even sustain this path. It's not really about if AI is powerful anymore, is it?
No, the conversation has shifted. It's about how we capture any value it creates responsibly and how we account for the true cost.
Especially when you remember that MIT stat.
That 95% failure rate to create measurable value, yeah, that really forces the question, doesn't it? Given the immense resource cost, the energy, the finite minerals we have to start making conscious, maybe even democratic choices about which digital applications are truly worth it. Things like critical health systems, essential infrastructure, maybe those pass the test. But others.
That is definitely the crucial thought to take away as you see the next AI headline. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the October Tech Bulletin.
Ceci était un deep dive du le podcast de Philippe. Aidez-nous à atteindre 1000 abonnés, nous y sommes presque.